Well, it's martini time again, my favorite time of the day. You know, I was just thinking as I fixed my martini. Here I am in my uncle's shirt. He bought these shirts in Tampa, but wear them all the time, about 25 of them. So I'm wearing them till they turn into rags, which is getting close to it. The collars are getting frayed. So anyway, but I just had this thought before I get into the topic, which is the nonviolence of love. Was that at 5 o'clock every day, when my uncle lived here for a couple of years, I would bring his martini. The ritual of his life was 5 o'clock, it's martini time. Of course, he might have one or two at lunch. But anyway, 5 o'clock martini time. And so he was paralyzed, had a stroke, couldn't walk. And I would fix him his martini. And my goal was to bring it at 5 o'clock exactly. And when I would come in the room with the martini, he would wake up from his nap. Thank you, Jesus. And I would make it as full as I could. And so anyway, I just thought I'd add that. But that's, you know, the thank you, Jesus, the martini is here. And my father, my parents were religiously happy hour people. 5 o'clock, have a highball. Is it time yet? Is it time yet? Check his watch. 5 o'clock, highball time. And then they would relax. And I don't ever remember them talking that much, but it was always a relaxed time. And so then it keeps you from being an alcoholic if you just drink at happy hour. Well, I like a martini at 5, and then after dinner I have a little glass of sipping scotch. So that's about it. If I'm up late, maybe 2. So for the last few days, I've been pulling this cotton ball apart. This is, if you hang out with me and listen to my talks and read what I write, you'll notice that I will get on an idea and I'll work it for 2 or 3 days. I'll write about it. I'll talk about it. I was writing about Alan Watts for a couple of days, looking into, getting deeper into Alan Watts. And I can't remember what it was before that, but the last 2 days I started out with a talk on my son becoming a vegan, which was a surprise because I used to be a vegetarian and they revolted. Where's the beef? Where's the meat? See, he was always a meat person, and now he's gone vegan, and I've gone meat. So anyway, so I've been looking into this. This a little deeper. Vegan is kind of like a purist vegetarian. Vegetarian is kind of like the liberals and fundamentalists, you know. And but I've been looking into it as what is at the bottom of it. What's the core to it? And it's nonviolence. A lot of people stop eating meat because they don't want to participate in the violence, in the killing. Or if they don't eat meat because of the violence the meat is doing on their body, you know, because of the additives and stuff. So it's violence. Or it could be a religious prohibition, you know. And so when I stopped eating meat in 1970, when my guru told me not to eat meat, it was basically I had to do that in order to get enlightened or have the guru accept me or whatever. So I had to do that in order to end the violence in myself. Anyway, so the whole thing was nonviolence, but then I began to take it to another level. And I began to see that ahimsa, which is a Sanskrit word for nonviolence, this is a very great spiritual principle. And there's violence in the external physical world, which is usually what the vegetarian is reacting against say, the killing of meat, animals, of life. Don't kill, you know. Even Buddhism, and this is why I eat meat. It's not why, but it makes me feel better about it. Is that the Buddha ate meat? And basically, he said, don't have anything killed, don't kill anything, and don't have anything killed for you. But if somebody gives you meat, eat it. And in fact, he followed that to the end. He died from some pork somebody gave him. And I started eating meat again when I decided not to reject a chicken dish a host gave me at her dinner. So anyway, I don't want to. I've already talked about that. But what we are looking at here is the core to it, which is nonviolence. And we usually think of nonviolence in a political way, brought about by Gandhi and Martin Luther King. And that was the application of this principle of nonviolence in the political field. And look what it did. I mean, Gandhi's nonviolence freed, liberated India from the colonial empire of England. And Martin Luther King's nonviolence triggered or activated the civil rights movement, which is still going on in all of its different manifestations. Its violent manifestations. But the principle of nonviolence, when applied to the physical world, is temporary, it's transformative, but it doesn't last. There's violence in India, there's violence in America, you know. So none of these, applied nonviolence is a temporary, transformative action, but the world always goes back to ground zero, which is violence, conflict. And that's because the material world is a world of things, life forms. And life itself is very violent. Life lives on life. Every bit of life lives by eating other life. Lions eat lambs, lambs eat grass. You know, everybody's eating everybody. It's Pac-Man. Can't get away from it. The whole food, the whole great chain of being, the mother of all life, you see, is eating itself. Life eats itself. Life offers itself to life. The zebra offers itself to the lion. Now, of course, the zebra hurts when the lion bites it. But if the lion didn't eat the zebras would multiply and eat all the grass and they would die. So there's a balance, you see. Life balances. Life is some zero. Everything balances in life, unless you screw around with it. And then you knock it off balance, and then you got to invent DDT. How well did that work? You see, DDT was I remember when DDT came out. It's like Robitussin. Oh, just put a little DDT on it. That'll get rid of those nasty bugs. Yeah. It's kind of like an aspirin. You know, just put everything, spray some DDT. Well, it worked. It killed the good guys and the bad guys. You see, so we quit that, figured that out, you see. But anyway, so any attempt to interfere with the balance of life, the yin-yang, positive and negative, the balance of life, any attempt to interfere or make it all positive, I don't have my yin-yang, but any interfere would be, I've got to get rid of this. Now all I've got is that, you see. If I get, this is positive, this is negative. When they're balanced, you get that. But now I want just life. I don't want any death. I just want positive, no negative. I just want up, no down. I just trump. I just want to win, no losing. So we're going to get rid of losing. Wait a minute, where'd the sound go? Now I got to invent some artificial means to make the sound happen again, you see. Because I lost the original balance by having the false belief that I can have a world with only life and no death. Or I can have a non-violent world, you see. So if you try to create a non-violent world where you don't have any conflict with anything, like I have conflict with the negative, so I'm going to get rid of it. So you have an argument with your wife. You have a conflict with the unpleasant feeling, the anger. You see, I want to get rid of that. So I got to fix her or get rid of her. You see. So with the nonviolent, you see, the nonviolent principle is that it includes both opposites. It transcends the two opposites and creates a larger whole that includes both positive and negative. That's a battery. Right? So this is I use this all the time. This is a metaphor for love. It's positive, negative, up, down, in, out, happy, sad, peace, anger, you see. So these negatives, when held together as one, yet two, when both are held together in a single idea that includes both of them, yet transcends them, and the battery is a single idea that transcends but includes the positive and negative, it turns on your lights. You got power to use. This stores energy, but what we're talking about is generating energy. Love generates energy. Nonviolence, and nonviolence is love because this is a metaphor for love. Love includes the positive and negative, generates or stores or generates energy so you can do stuff with it. That's what creativity is all about. It's energy you can do stuff with. You create a painting, you create a business, you create a relationship, you fall in love with somebody. That's the unity of two opposites, and it creates a life. It creates babies, it creates a life, it creates a world. So nonviolence creates a world by transcending the violence of the pairs of opposites, you see. So the physical world is made up of pairs of conflicting opposites. Lions and zebras. Wolves and lambs. Big fish, little fish. So everywhere it's this balance of conflict. And we want to say, well, I really want more lambs. The nasty tigers, get rid of those tigers because they eat the poor little lambs. So we go get rid of the tigers. Or like in Australia, wouldn't it be nice if we had some rabbits to hunt? So the good Englishmen liked to hunt rabbits back in England where they had lots of foxes. Brought their rabbits to Australia, and nobody ate them. So they got overrun with rabbits, and they began to eat all the crops. So don't screw with Mother Nature, you see. So, but we're looking at this idea. I forgot to put on my watch, darn it. So we're kind of like digging into this idea of nonviolence. What does that mean? So I've come to the conclusion that nonviolence is seeing the union of opposites. Now this is a good idea. All right, so take a marriage, for instance. I'm an expert in that because I got married, failed at marriage, got divorced, failed at divorce, remarried the same woman. And it's still an ongoing evolution of discovery. So, but in any relationship, most relationships in marriages could be described by the metaphor of the leash. Now the leash has two ends. One end is the choke collar, and one end has a little handle where you pull. So when you get into a relationship that is using the metaphor of the leash, one person feels controlled and the other person feels abandoned. So it's like with the dog. You see, there's two kinds of dogs out there. One, you see the person being pulled by the dog, and the other one, you see the dog healed and walking next to the person, even though they're on a leash. You see, they are obeying. The other one, the dog wants to be free. Pulls against the leash, you see. So this is a good description of most relationships. Both. You see that when you have a leash, both people, both poles of the relationship are flipping. One, the positive end would be me with the feeling the choke collar, and the other person is pulling the leash, and the other person feels the choke collar, and the other person is feeling a leash. So you see, the leash is flipping, so that you are both ends of the leash at the same time, but the illusion is the other person is choking me, and I got to get away. And the other person says, you're choking me, and I got to get away. But they do it like in a Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers dance. If they both wanted to get away, that's divorce. But if it stays in a neurotic relationship, then one is pulling away and the other is pulling back, and the realization comes, the satori, the aha comes, when you see in a grasp that it's like if you had a garden hose and you were squirting yourself and the other hand was on the faucet. And you say, who's squirting me? And you see that your hand's on the faucet. And when you see that your hand's on the faucet that's squirting you in the face, you take your hand off. So it's like this nonviolent. Nonviolent, you see, is seeing that you are both ends of the leash, while at the same time you're still separate from the other person. So it is a paradox. The seeing, the nonviolent seeing, is seeing the nonviolence in the violence. Seeing the nonviolence in the violence. So the violence is the push-pull of the relationship. You see, that's the violence. That's what is. But the nonviolence in it is that you are both ends of the relationship at the same time. So this restores unity. So the relationship is unity, the one that includes the many. Now when the one that includes the two. Now when the two are conflicting, you see, that is either going to be the source of tremendous pain or the potential for self-realization. Go either way. You go into more violence until you finally shoot the other person or get divorced, which is where it's going to go. It's in the newspapers all the time. The shooting, not the divorce. You know, so-and-so shoots his spouse. Why? It was failed creativity, failed nonviolence. All they saw was violence, you see. So when you see the nonviolence in the violence, that is, in Zen, it's kensho. It's aha. I am that. Je suis the other person. So that, and why I'm saying that it's nonviolent seeing is love, because love includes the opposites. Love embraces the contradiction in a new understanding, in a new one that is greater than the parts. The one includes the parts, but is greater than the parts. But the parts still exist, but now each part references the whole or the unity instead of their own pain. And that is the sacred marriage. That is the marriage that evolves. Because it evolves because both people are referencing the unity of the relationship instead of the violence of the relationship. You get what I'm trying to say? This unity, this nonviolence, is transcendent of the two people at war, in a divorce war, in an argument, in a marital, it doesn't have to be a marriage, it's just relationship. Be relationship with the world, with your boss. Doesn't make any difference. We are relationship. See, we think in our worldview that we're just a bunch of things, but we're not. We're relationship. We are relationship. That's who we are. We are relationship. You can't be without relationship. Even if you're in a solitary cell, you're in relationship to the cell. Nothing exists by itself. Everything is interconnected. Everything is in relationship, in a system. You see, everything is in connected to parts to make greater wholes. So it's like Russian nesting dolls. This is what Trump should have got from Russia, the metaphor of the Russian nesting dolls. Now, anyway, excuse me a minute. Okay. It's better than water. So anyway, we've been digging deeper down, and maybe I'll continue tomorrow, I don't know, into the idea of nonviolence and seeing the nonviolence, or in Zen and yoga, it was all, I never could figure this out. The inaction in the action. What the hell is that? See the silence in the noise. See the stillness in the movement. See the inaction in the action. What the hell does that mean? See the nonviolence in the violence. Well, you can't see it, perceive it consciously, because conscious perception of the mind is a dual operating machine. We just see things, and things are dual, or many. That's just the way we perceive reality. That's the operating system. Can't get away from it. And when the world is made up of things, they bump into what you. That's why we love bumper cars. Go to the park, get into bumper car. Now you are legally permitted to bump into other people, and we love it. You see, in polite society, don't bump into that person. Oh, I'm sorry, I disturbed you. Go get into a bumper car. Yay, I'm going to bump into you. That's Tantra. That's going into the opposite. If you want to find the nonviolence, go into the negative, and you'll find the positive there. Anyway, I think I don't have my watch, so I may have overextended. So I hope you travel with me and wander with me on this the watercourse way of the Tao, while we try to pull apart these very large ideas that are just thrown around like confetti. We want to go deeper into it. Look under the rock, okay? And so maybe we'll pick this up some more if I feel inclined to continue it. We're having a movie tonight, and the movie is To Catch a Thief with Tom Hanks and Caprio. So maybe that'll be my next idea. I don't know. But I'll see you next time.